It's really great to be up here as part of Hemp Week. It's very inspirational that there's different groups out there, trying to educate people about evils of prohibition and what a great plant cannabis is. Does everybody like cannabis? We got a pretty good show of hands there. That's good. I just want to give you a little background about myself. I've been in the hemp industry for 15 years. I've been a member of NORML for 20 or so years, and I've been studying cannabis, the therapeutic aspects of cannabis on a daily basis almost for 30 years or so. So I've got a lot of experience, and if anybody has any questions about any aspects, we're going to be talking about all the aspects of cannabis today at a very high level, and the evils of prohibition, because that is one of the worst policies that I can think of. It's really destroying our society in a number of ways and hurting our environment and imprisoning millions of people. So it's really a horrible thing. So I like to educate people about all the good things about it and the bad things about prohibition. My goal is to end prohibition and also to build the hemp industry and to help the medical marijuana industry grow. And I'm also trying to create a cannabis curriculum database. So if we have any computer science majors out there that want to start a database, a wiki-like type of thing where people can start putting in all sorts of information about cannabis, research articles and papers, then that would be great. So we'll be talking about that. But what I'm going to do tonight is talk about different subjects so that when you're going through all of your different classes and courses, that you might be able to apply cannabis hemp to one of the subjects, or hopefully a lot of the subjects. So we'll just get going here, and if there's any questions, just let me know. Environmental design and environmental science is very big these days. Everything's green. We want to go green, and hemp is a great plant to make green things out of. This is a little piece of hemp plastic that is made out of the stalk. Hemp stalks have a lot of cellulose in them, so you can turn the stalks into plastic that biodegrades. So it's really good to make CD cases, anything out of plastic. So if you've got an environmental design class, you can study, all the different characteristics of hemp. How do they make the plastic? How can you make a good one that biodegrades but not too fast? So look into that. We have hemp seeds, which are very, very healthy. But you can also make biodiesel out of the seeds. These are sterile, by the way, so you can't plant them, unfortunately. But you can make fuel out of them, and it's very, So you make biodiesel out of the seeds. From the stalks, the inside the fiber, the inner part of the stalk are these herds. And again, this has a lot of cellulose in it, so you can make ethanol, fuel out of the stalks. So you can study how the whole process of creating green fuels. Of course, you can make paper out of the stalk. We don't want to deforest, and we want to stop deforestation. So Nick and Jen are buying hemp paper. They're spreading the word, and they're saving the planet at the same time. So we work with tree-free paper, and of course, hemp grows very tall, so it blocks out all the a lot of the weeds, so you don't need to use herbicides on the ground, so it's a lot greener plant to grow. And you can also put biomats down, which are like little mats of the fiber they put on the ground to prevent erosion and to preserve the soil. So that's a really good aspect of the hemp fiber. Other properties of the hemp plant, and one of them is phytoremediation. The plant draws poisons and toxins out of the soil and stores it in the seeds. So like after the Chernobyl nuclear accident a few years ago, they planted hemp all around in the countryside to help clean the land. So you could study that, see how that phytoremediation works, and what you can do with the seeds to reintegrate those pollutants, the toxins out of the seed, and reintegrate those back into the supply chain. Henry Ford, you may know, he created a plant-based car back in the 40s. He was way ahead of his time. This is him hitting it with a sledgehammer. He used some hemp in his car, in the molded body of the hemp car. Now we've come full circle. There's a lot of manufacturers, VW, Mercedes, and I believe even Ford, are making cars with hemp parts in them. A lot of the hemp fiber is good for insulation, it's fire resistant, and they're using it for hemp molding the inside of the car parts. So a lot of the car makers are going more green. They want to be able to recycle their cars. Hemp is a great application for that. So if you're looking into doing some environmental work on this area, try to figure out how you can use hemp in all the different parts of the car. Hemp parade is horse bedding. They use that a lot in England. This is a kitty litter. And then, again, this is the herds of the hemp stalk that you can use for the kitty litter or for horse bedding. And then after it's been used and everything, you can just turn it into mulch, put it in the land, biodegrades, and the whole cycle keeps going. And that's why hemp is a really great thing for recycling. You can recycle paper, hemp paper, many, many times. The plastic's recyclable. So it's really a good thing that you can use all these products and then just keep reusing them. And hemp concrete, which I want to talk about, in the architecture area, is recyclable. So what you do is you take the hemp herds, mix this, crush this up, mix it with lime and water, and it makes a really great cement and concrete. It sequesters CO2, so it reverses the greenhouse effect. It's very green in that way. And then when you're finished with the building or whatever you're using it for, you can just crumble it up and reuse it again. So it keeps, it's a gift that keeps on giving. So, learn how the hemp concrete is used in construction. There are a few hemp houses in Asheville, North Carolina. This company is building hemp houses. They're studying, how well it works. This hemp cement, it is fireproof, it's water resistant, pest resistant. So it's really a great thing, and I think the hemp concrete is going to be one of the biggest things in the future. But you can basically build an entire house out of hemp. You've got the hemp concrete. Again, you take these herds, you can make hemp particle board out of the herds. This is just like wood particle board, except it's stronger, it's more flexible, and you don't have to cut down trees for it. So got all this particle board. The hemp fiber, you can make carpet out of it. Very strong, durable carpet. So you have carpet in that. Have all sorts of fabrics that you can make out of the hemp fiber. So we have hemp silk curtains in our living room that are very nice, but you can make all sorts of fabrics out of hemp fiber. So you can put your whole house together like that. And also people are coming up with hemp shingles made out of composites for the roofing. So it's just all these different things you can make, put in your house. So if you've got any kind of architecture class or construction inclinations, try to incorporate hemp into that. Engineering, if we have any engineering students, what we need is a lot of research in this area. The hemp stalks grow 10 feet long, 10 feet tall, as you can see, very, very tall. And the fiber runs the entire length of the hemp stalk. So when you first take the stalk and strip this coarse fiber off the outside of it, and then what's left is the herds. So these are the two main components of the hemp stalk, this long fiber and then the herds. But this fiber runs the entire length of the stalk, so the tensile strength is very, very strong. You can turn it into composites, hopefully for airplane parts or for car parts. It'd be a very strong plastic. So we need more research into this and how we can incorporate this high tensile strength into new products. And we also need a lot of research in the machinery. As you can see, some of these old machines, this is how they used to process hemp. They would run this stalk right in through here, through these gears, and it would crunch everything, crunch up, the herds would fall out, and the fiber would keep going like that, similarly like this. But there hasn't been a lot of research into the hemp, into all the machinery that harvested hemp, that processed hemp. So we need engineering students to study this and come up with some new machines to process our hemp fiber and to create all these new products. So if you have any ideas, just